that, I will hand it over to MD to introduce Allison. MD, please introduce yourself to anyone on the call who might not know you, and take it away.
Thanks, Lance. I'm MD. I'm actually I go by MD Brahmachari. I'm in North America LCS marketing under Dave Armstrong's group. For those of you who may not know me, so the premise for these Ibis World Reports is when we decided as a group to move from products to solutions. One of the first things that we looked at was how do we equip our sales team with more on-demand, in-depth industry information. So when you guys jump on a call with someone whose industry you're not too familiar with, these reports will be supremely handy, and you'll see this from Allison's presentation today. So early this year, we bought the Ibis World Reports that our sales folks in Americas, US, Canada, and LATAM have access to. So in today's session, you will hear from Allison Pralik, who's the Client Success Manager at Ibis World, and she'll cover some of the logistic information. I know some of you have had questions about how to access these reports, how to log in. So she'll cover some of those things. And then for the major portion of her presentation, she'll be covering the content of the reports. So with that, I'll hand it over to Allison.
Great. Thank you very much, MD, for the introduction, and thank you all for your time this morning. As MD had mentioned, I am your Client Relationship Manager for your Ibis World subscription. Essentially, my role is to just make sure that you get the most out of your subscription and really discover how to best leverage the research that's available within our reports. Just a little bit of higher level information in terms of Ibis World and who we are. We actually started 42 years ago as a consulting company in Australia. And then quickly that turned into realizing that there was space within the research foundation to provide industry research. There are a lot of companies out there that provide company-based research. However, the missing element was taking it up a level to industry research. Then in about 2000, we moved over to US, headquarters in Santa Monica. I sit here in our New York City office. And we started writing reports on the US industries. And so now we're the leading provider of industry information in the US. Again, I had mentioned our headquarters is in Santa Monica. All of our analysts who write the reports do sit in-house in Santa Monica. However, within the next year, they're actually all going to be moving over to New York, and New York is going to be our new Ibis World headquarters. We want our analysts to be close to the sales team so we can communicate directly back and forth with each other. So to start off, this will be your main landing page when you first sign on to ibisworld.com. You can see just a little bit of information about what is Ibis World and how is industry analysis used. To start with, just providing you with directions on how to log in. This is your login page right here. Your username and password will all be the same. So the username is Google, and if I could type, that would help. Google Apps Sales, and your password is Ibis World, all lowercase and one word, no spaces. And then it's going to prompt you for your user registration information. So this is where the user registration is going to be unique for each person. So just enter your information. And then once you enter your information, you're only going to have to do this one time until you clear your cookies and clear your search history. But other than that, you should only be required to enter in your information once. So then once you log in, this is going to be your main landing page. So again, after you've done your user registration, save the username and password, this will be your main landing page now. If for any reason, if you have any questions, you'll see my contact information on the left portion of the screen. So I invite you to contact me, email me, or call me directly anytime you have any questions, whether or not it's questions related to the subscription, getting access to certain reports, or again, how to best leverage the research that's available for you. I am your point of contact. Just please note that I am Eastern Standard Time. So just again, starting off with some navigation. Up here, our industry market research. This shows you the collections that Google Apps has access to. So we have our U.S. industry reports, which is our NAICS codes, the North American Industry Classification System. So this is really the core of Ibis World's collection. These are the reports that contains in-depth research, anywhere from 30 to 50 pages. The U.S. iExpert summaries, what this is actually a summary report of the full industry NAICS reports. So this is only going to be 3 to 4 pages as opposed to 30 to 50 pages of information. So if you only have a couple of minutes to quickly look into a new industry that you're not that familiar with, you might want to hit this first instead of spending the full time reading 30 to 50 pages. And then the U.S. Specialized Industry Report. This is our newest report collection, and you guys certainly do have access to this. This follows the same format as our U.S. industry NAICS level reports, except these are industries that fall in between the cracks of what's currently recognized by NAICS. So these will be your more niche and emerging industries, anywhere from some really interesting titles such as tattoo removal or strip clubs in the U.S. Again, it's really niche and emerging industries not presently recognized by NAICS. And then over to the industry risk rating subsection, you have your U.S. business environment profile. Now what this is, it talks about current economic sensitivities that are outside of a company's control. So Ibis World has put together 2-page reports of about 250 economic sensitivities, such as per capita disposable income. If you want to read a little bit more about how that affects a particular industry, then you can locate that through the business environment profile. So starting off, I would highly recommend most of the time doing a keyword search, or if you do have a 5-digit NAICS code, you can certainly type that in. So let's say I was interested in looking up plastic film manufacturing. I just type that in, hit enter, and then it's going to pull up all your search results. Again, these are the industry reports. Any report that has regular 5 digits, that falls under the regular U.S. NAICS. Any report that starts with OD and then has a 4 digits after that, OD stands for on demand, which is part of the specialized report collection. So here you can pull up all related industry reports to plastic film that I typed in, scroll down to your iExpert summaries, which is the 3 to 4 page summary. And then your business environment profile, again, those related key economic sensitivities that affect the industry, such as the price of plastic materials and resin. I'm just going to go into the plastic bottle manufacturing, actually, or I'll go into the plastic film, as I had said. I just click on that and it opens up the full industry report for you. Every report that we have follows the exact same format. So you're going to see that you have these 9 chapters labeled on the top, and then the sub-chapters that fall underneath that. Again, here is my contact information. Here you're going to have the NAICS code 32611, the industry title. The date that the report was last updated is April 2013. All of our industry reports are updated anywhere from 1 to 4 times per year. if the industry is a more volatile and popular industry, it's going to be updated on a more frequent basis. If the industry isn't that volatile or popular of an industry such as nut and bolt manufacturing, it's not going to be updated that frequently. So that would be an example for a one-time annual update basis. And then next to that is the analyst's name, the analyst who actually wrote this report. Now, my role as your client relationship manager with, making sure that you get the most out of your subscription is to also act as your liaison between yourself and the analyst. So if you have any questions that I cannot answer for you directly, please let me know and I will send them over to the analyst and get more information back to you. Now, I'm not going to take too much time going through every chapter and subchapter of these reports, but I want to touch on some higher level places that will be of interest to you. One thing that you always want to start with is reading the industry definition. This is going to make sure that you are in the actual correct industry report that you need. So it's going to talk about what is contained within this report. It'll also list, perhaps activities that are not listed, that are not going to be contained within this report. We're going to give you the full up and down supply chain. This is really important to Ibis World, understanding that no industry operates in isolation. So we're going to give you the supply industry and then the demand industry. Also, any related industries related to this particular industry as well. All of these are hyperlinked, so if you wanted to go into another industry from here, you certainly can. Main activities, this is also very important to look at when you are determining whether or not this is the correct industry report for you as well. And again, just another breakdown of the similar industries. Additional resources, we provide these additional resources for you. If you've exhausted what's available within these industry reports, we provide other resources for you that you could take a look at as well. Industry jargon, this is going to be useful on the sales aspect because we're going to provide you with these industry-specific terms, in essence, language that's common within this particular field, so you can speak knowledgeably with your prospective client or customer. And then the glossary, these are the same throughout every industry report. These are essentially how Ibis World defines specific economic terms. So scrolling back up to the top, I'm going to skip over the next chapter and just go straight into the industry performance. The industry performance, this is the current performance of the industry leading up from the past 5 years until now. So this is where, again, we talk about these key external drivers that I had mentioned before that are contained within the business environment profile. Again, all industries are influenced by external factors that the operator in the industry cannot control, but they're still going to have an impact on the industry performance. So here you can read about that information and how it's affecting this particular industry. Then if you scroll down further, this is where we're going to talk about the actual current industry performance, highlight key events that have impacted the industry over the past 5 years. Perhaps there's been mergers, new product launches, new regulation within the industry. It's important to understand these when you're going and learning about a new industry and speaking to a new prospective client. And it's also going to talk about, how the industry has fared during the past recession, if there's any trends on profit or the revenue growth and other key stats over the past 5 years. So that's the industry performance. We do have an industry outlook, so instead of looking over the past 5 historical years, this is going to give the same level of information except projected out for the next 5 years. So that's your industry outlook. The one chapter that I think that would be really beneficial for all of you to spend some time and to get to know is the products and markets chapter, and all of its contained subchapters. So the products and markets, it's really going to talk about the who, what, where of the industry. So you're going to answer 3 questions with looking at this information. Who is buying and selling within the industry? What is the breakdown of products and services provided in the industry? And where is it happening? Is it mostly in the US? Is it overseas? That's what the products and markets section is going to provide to you. Again, a lot of emphasis on the supply chain, understanding the up and down of the supply chain, the key buying and selling industries, again, since no industry operates in isolation. We're going to give you a breakdown of the products and services segmentation. So, you can determine, oh, well, 27.2% of the revenue of this industry in 2013 is plastic bags. And we'll go down, we'll give some detailed information about that. The demand determinants, this is going to give you, the why information. Why does this industry exist? And it's going to review the various factors that are affecting the demand within this industry. Your major markets, this is going to answer the question, who are they selling to? We'll give the breakdown based on revenue of the major markets segmented within this industry. If there's any international trade, that's going to be important for you to know as well. So again, where is this happening? Is it overseas, mostly located within the US? So that's the products and markets chapter. We're again answering those questions, who, what, where, why. Another chapter that would be useful for you is the competitive landscape, understanding how your client, how they stack up against their competitors and the industry as a whole. So we will talk about the market share concentration, if the market and the industry itself is highly concentrated or not. Obviously, the higher concentration, the more fragmented the industry is, the more one-to-one competition that there is as well. Key success factors, is your client, is the company that you're speaking with, are they engaging in these key success factors to make them successful within the industry? Again, this entire chapter is talking about, as it suggests, the competitive landscape. How do they stack up against their competitors and the industry as a whole? Obviously, companies make up an industry, so we would be remiss to not include information about companies. We just have this one chapter about it, though, where we do talk about the major players in an industry, and we define a major player as a company that generates approximately 5% or more of the industry's revenue. So again, you can stack up other businesses and clients against the major players. Now, those are really just the main chapters I want to focus on, because I do want to be able to spend a little bit of time talking about the iExpert summary, which again, as I explained, is the 3 to 4 page summary. So if you're in a full industry report and you want to go within the iExpert and you don't want to have to go back to the keyword search up here, pull up all the results, all you have to do is click on this radio icon that looks like a light bulb, and that will open up the iExpert summary for you. So here, it's just going to give you the key statistics snapshot, so a breakdown of the revenue and the profit, so on and so forth. We'll talk about the market share and the top players, your key external drivers, so understanding, again, those economic sensitivities that are affecting the industry. We'll give you the products and services segmentation, and then just a higher level, quick picture of the industry structure itself. So, how is the regulation level? If it were a high regulation, instead of light, if it were a heavy regulation level, how is that affecting the client that you're speaking with, or the technology change? Is your client an adapter, an early adapter of this technology, or are they considered laggards? Any barriers to entry, again, how does that affect your competition? If the barriers to entry are low, which this is, then it means that it's actually easier for new businesses to gain entry into this specific industry, creating more fragmentation and competition. And then your major market segmentation breakdown again. Now I'm going to skip down this cost structure and go directly to, and we will give a summary of the performance summary. But what I really want to highlight is these industry issues. We're going to give you a threat and an opportunity. So this is going to give you a quick, very quick, precise understanding of what's going on in this industry. What is posed as a high-level threat? What's posed as an opportunity for this industry? How does that stack up to your client? And then also these industry questions will give you external and internal issues, such as, plastic is made from petrochemicals, which are derived from oil, which is historically volatile. Then we'll give you related questions. How do the prices of oil and other inputs affect your company's profit margins? So you already have 20 to 25 questions that if you, again, only have a quick 5 minutes to review an industry before you're speaking with a new potential client or customer, and you want to sound knowledgeable and be able to have an intuitive conversation with them, you go directly to your iExpert summary, look at the issues, read the questions, and bam, you already have an outline for an intelligent conversation with a client. So that's a quick level of the iExpert summary. I do want to stress, though, that the iExpert summary is only available for the reports that we have that follow the traditional NAICS codes. If you're looking at an industry that is in the specialized industry, which again starts with the OD and then the 4 digits afterwards, we do not have iExpert summaries for those. But a quick workaround for that is if you go into the specialized reports, and I just pulled up a full list of the specialized reports, which right now it's over 500. Hopefully within the next year to year and a half, we'll have expanded this to 1,500 titles. So I'm just going to go into hairstyling product manufacturing just really fast. And again, you can see that this report follows the exact same 9 chapters and subchapters. Now, I had mentioned before that I was going to skip the industry at a glance. I pull this up, and it looks exactly just like the iExpert. So again, if you did just have, a couple of quick minutes to look over an industry before you're speaking with someone, then you can pull this up. Now, the only disadvantage to this industry at a glance compared to the iExpert summary is that we do not have the questions. Again, that's only available for the 700 or so NAICS level reports that we have. But again, you do just have a quick glance to quickly go in and understand the industry. So with that, I believe I've taken up my full 20, 25 minutes, and I do want to allow some time for some questions. I understand that I did go through this relatively quickly, so again, please feel free to ask some questions now, and then also email me or call me directly with any follow-up questions that you do have. But with that, I do want to open up a little bit of time for some Q&A.
So, Allison, is this United States only?
Yes, I did not mention that. It is U.S. only.
And is there any plan to expand more internationally?
We do actually have reports for the global industry. We have 75 reports for global industry. We do currently have reports for China, Australia, the UK, and then within the next year we will have a Canadian report collection. However, for the subscription, right now it is only for US based. Great.
So I'm not seeing any other questions come in. MD, do you want to move on to the next section and talk about Forrester total economic impact?
Yeah, sure. And I think just before I kind of move on, I also quickly want to highlight some of the key things that Allison mentioned, and just see how powerful these reports are. When marketing as an organization has had these reports slightly longer than the sales team when we bought these for you guys. The first thing I usually go to is the key success factors. And it just quickly tells me what are the key success factors that this industry considers as. And then the other thing, I don't know if you guys remember what Allison showed was within iExpert summary, when you show the competitive landscape, it's just gold for us, right? So if you know that this is a high regulation industry, you kind of stop spending time on it. If you know that it's an early adopter, if you know that it's, there's globalization, they have multiple, globalization is like a strong play in this industry, it opens up the whole collaboration discussion for us. So I think if you can just spend 5 minutes on, before every call you make or before every conversation you have, if you can just spend 5 minutes on these reports and just identify a few of the conversation points that you want to have, it's super valuable. So with that, thanks, Allison. Thanks for covering these topics. Lance, can everyone see my desktop?
No.
Oh, hang on.
You have to share. There you go.
Can see it now?
Yes.
All right. So I think for our next session, a lot of you already kind of know that we've had the Forrester TEI study done for us. There was a lot of comps that went out initially. I've been getting a few questions and conversation about what exactly does TEI mean? How do I share this with our prospects? So in today's session, I want to cover 3 things. First, give you an overview of what TEI means. Give you a brief summary of the methodology and the results. I also want to then kind of show you some of the kind of nuggets that we can reuse in some of our presentations that you make for prospects. And then most of my time, I'll go to showcasing our study and the calculator. Before I kind of deep dive, I also want to mention, some of you may have seen the ROI tool that Keith Gunther had showcased on Master Seller, and it's on his value selling site. I wanted to kind of quickly show you what the differentiation between that tool and the TEI tool is. The TEI tool the ROI tool that Keith Gunther has made is awesome, and it's super detailed. So what happens is it actually takes you through a detailed comparison between Office 365 on-premise, and it's a lot more engaged. So typically you would present that tool when you're already engaged with that customer or a prospect. What the aim of this tool is that you will use this in the discovery phase of your calls. This is a lot lightweight, and this will basically be a bait or a hook for people to understand how do you quantify benefits. So before I deep dive, I wanted to quickly make that point. So with that, let's move on to the meaning of TEI and the methodology that Forrester used. So typically when we've had the discussions about cost savings with our prospects, we talk about kind of absolute cost savings or IT cost savings, total cost of ownership, and things like that. We haven't had a very kind of intelligent or third-party approved validated message to showcase how do we actually quantify our benefits. So what does efficiency look like, or what's the dollar value that I can get the place on having VC meetings, for example. So we actually did have a Forrester study in 2010, and the engagement with Forrester for this time around was to do a refresh. So Forrester interviewed 5 customers directly and surveyed about 200 respondents. Out of those 200 respondents, 100 were IT users, and the other 100 were line of business users. So on this slide, let me just kind of explain what these main buckets mean and what they look like. So as I mentioned, the objective of the TEI was to kind of quantify the benefits of moving to Google Ads as opposed to calculating just cost savings. So from an input standpoint, this study consists of 3 things. What are the benefits? What's the impact on the business? What are the costs? And what's the flexibility look like? Flexibility talks about kind of investments that you make in business for future benefits. So you're basically laying a foundation. Benefits is kind of self-explanatory. We talk about things like single sign-on, app-to-app synergy, ability to search better, ability to have a VC, to sit on a VC meeting as opposed to be in a face-to-face. And then for cost, it's our kind of standard IT licensing costs, but it also considers change management costs and the support costs and things like that. Now, in addition to that, what happens is after Forrester has quantified these benefits, they apply this thing called risk. So Forrester identifies risks like, what if something went wrong during the implementation? What are some of the support risks? And they apply that, and then they adjust the benefits to come up with the total economic impact. So over here, what I wanted to show was kind of what did, in our interviews with customers, what did they actually mean by benefits? So I've just simply picked on one customer here and what they said about what benefits mean. So one of the customers mentioned that in benefits, with the help of Google Sites, they are able to kind of reduce the number of emails, and the external sharing with suppliers has become even more awesome. In terms of risks, I mentioned email migration for them was, they identified email migration and end user training as one of the potential risks. And in terms of flexibility, the room for future growth, they found that VC and using Google Plus instead of email was basically laying this foundation so that they can kind of plan for the future, if you like. And if you've seen the study, I don't know how many of you guys have actually seen the study. These are kind of the three main results out of it. So the main result is ROI is 330%, the net present value is 10.1 million, and payback is 1.4 months. And this will typically be your first conversation that you will have with your prospects. And then I think the kind of logical next steps would be, so how do we come up with these things, right? So they'll ask you, like, what does payback mean? How did you come up with a number? So at that stage, what you can do is they're ready to engage with you. They're ready to deep dive, which is an awesome sign. You can do either one of two things. You can either pull up the study and then go through the study with them, which is the one that you see on the left, or you can go actually, if they're interested, you can calculate these benefits for their company using our tool. So let me first jump and tell you I'll just kind of quickly go through the study. By the way, you can find this study on google.com/apps. Let me just show you where to find that. If you go to google.com/apps, go to resources in the library section, you'll find the Forrester TEI study here. I already have it open, so I'll quickly jump through some of these. So in the executive summary, you can, as I mentioned, the main three things about the, I don't know if you can see this properly. Okay. So the main three things that we mentioned about 329% as a risk-adjusted ROI, they are mentioned here. You can go through the methodology, and then you can basically show them or tell them what benefits mean. Like, benefits are split into two things, IT benefits as well as end-user benefits. And you can go through all of them. Going further down, you can show them what the methodology was, what are some of the things with costs. And then the thing I wanted to show you here on page 7 is Forrester actually, this section right here, they actually went, they pulled some nuggets out from our customer interviews and then put them here. So for any presentation that you guys are making, prospect-facing or customer-facing, you can actually use some of these stats to, and obviously kind of reference it back to our study, but you can use these stats as a part of your presentation. So things like almost 25% of the interviewees handle more than half of their emails on a mobile device, or 44% of our respondents noted better internal collaboration as a result of quicker and easier file sharing. So there are some really cool nuggets that you can use as a part of your presentation. And then you can go, I'll go into some of these details from the tool. So one thing that I want to highlight and I want you guys to focus on when you talk to your prospects is the concept of the internal collaboration efficiency is almost 3 times, the benefits out of internal collaboration efficiency is almost 3 times higher than your IT cost savings. And I know a lot of you have had this challenge when you talk to your prospects about, but how do you put a number to it? And hopefully this study kind of solves that. With this study, you will be able to show that internal collaboration efficiency, in this table with the internal collaboration efficiency, you're able to, for an 18,000 employee company, you're able to save $8 million out of the overall 17 million. So you can showcase that all these, like all the top 5 options, benefits here, add up to more than 60% or 70% of your total benefits. Then it goes through IT cost savings of kind of what are your license spends, what's the operational cost, infrastructure costs, and things like that. So hopefully you start to have these conversations where you're starting to kind of showcase that, yes, typically people when they go to Google Apps, they go it because the obvious IT cost savings, but when after they go, the obvious benefits that they start seeing are in the efficiency side. So hopefully you kind of start informing your prospects on those lines. So I'll kind of come back to the tool because I think I want to spend most of my time there. This tool, the calculator, you can find it on go/enterprise sales. Let me show you exactly where. So if I go to Go Enterprise Sales, click on value selling. So you can find the study here and you can find the tool right here. So the idea here is that you clone this spreadsheet every time you want to present this to a customer or a prospect, and then kind of make this your own. There are 4 major tabs in this spreadsheet: the user input tab, results, benefit details, and cost details. And I'll go through each of them. In the user input tab, in column B, what you see here is what you will input on your prospect's behalf. So things like, what are their total number of employees in their company? What's their average revenue per employee? Things like, what's your, how many employees do you grow per year? What are the working days and things like that. What you see in column C is the benchmark data that Forrester gathered as a part of their interviews. So as a part of their interviews, Forrester actually identified 18,000 employees as their average. This was kind of LCS skewed a little bit. So you'll see that 18,000 employees was their kind of average employee size for this study. So it's likely that when you start kind of digging deep a little bit, and again, if you compare this to like this in-depth ROI tool like Keith had mentioned, or showcase, it's really lightweight. This is all you're really asking from your prospect. So it's a lot earlier in the buying life cycle. So if your prospect doesn't know things like what their average IT staff is, salary is, what their staffing hours is, you can basically tell them that on an average, based on what we interviewed our customers with Forrester, this is the standard and it's okay for you to use it. So with that, once you're done with this input tab, now we basically show them what the results are. So what you see here is kind of equivalent to the 3 main buckets, right? So the ROI is 430%, payback period is 0.9 months, and total benefits, the present value of the total benefits is 14.7 million. Now these, if you remember, these numbers are slightly different than what we just saw, and the reason for that is this is not risk adjusted. So if you care about, if you care about risk, or if your prospect cares about risk, and as I mentioned, risk is about something could go wrong during implementation, something could go wrong with support. In that case, you can scroll down, and rows 50 to 52 is where you'll see those numbers. So these are the risk-adjusted numbers. So these are the numbers that you use in the study that you saw. So the ROI is 329%, payback period is 1.4 months, and then the net present value is 10.1 million. Now, I'll open this up to Q&A at some stage, but let me kind of tell the next tab on this is the benefit details, which is, in my mind, the time that you should most spend on with your prospects. So the natural question that your prospect will ask is like, how did you come up with these numbers? Like, what do these mean? What do you mean by benefits? So this table in the benefit details basically tells you all the 9 or 10 things that we consider benefits, right? So the benefits in this case is app-to-app synergy. Now, what app-to-app synergy means is when we asked our prospects, when we asked our users, how much time do they spend within multiple apps, they basically said that the whole single sign-on aspect, which is they don't have to switch, log in, log out between multiple applications like calendar, email, Drive, Hangouts. The fact that they don't have to log in and log out is a huge advantage for them. So they, if you go deep here in the app-to-app synergy section, they'll show you things like how many minutes did you save as a result of working with Google Apps. So they said 12 minutes per day. So what they do, Forrester did, is basically extrapolate that 12 minutes into number of hours saved per year, and then multiply that with the number of employees, and they found this number of 1.3 million here. They also asked, what's the productivity increase? So the productivity increase in this case was 20%. So they put a number to that. So this is how you defend, or this is how you explain your prospects what these numbers mean. Things like search. What search meant is the ability to retrieve information faster. Improving team efficiency by virtual meetings, internal collaboration efficiency. So you see, as you can see, all these numbers here are related to efficiency or collaboration benefits. And if you add that number, it's more than 70% of the entire benefits. The rows 22 to 25 talk about costs and licensing spend. And these are obviously significant cost savings too. So as I said, you can defend these numbers by scrolling down further if they ask you, like, what does that mean? Like, what does search mean? Like, what's the productivity increase? What does filtering mean? And things like that. So the next tab over here is cost details, and this is a very simple one. It basically showcases what the costs are for a Google Apps license. Some of the questions were, how much was the cost for change management? So you can see that in the change management testing, all the deployment costs are typically just in the first year, and there's no cost after that. So this basically shows you our standard kind of total cost of optimization, and then once you combine the cost with the benefits, that's how you get the overall number. So I think that's, I know it's kind of difficult to kind of showcase this exactly over this master seller, but I hope this conveys how you can showcase this tool when you're on a phone call with your prospects. So with that, I think, Lance, I'll open this up for Q&A.
What questions do you have for MD? Again, is this a global tool? What does it take to globalize this tool?
So this is a global tool. One of our customers was actually from UK. Some of our respondents were from UK, Germany, and APAC. Although there's, I would say, about 80% of the respondents were US-based. But this is not limited to only US.
But do you have to change currencies, or I suppose I assume you do?
Yeah. So in the settings tab, good question. In the settings tab, there's a way to change the currency from this tab, from this drop down.
Great. I'm not seeing any questions come in at this time, so I think we'll go ahead and bring the session to a close. Thank you, Allison. Thank you, MD. These are very powerful tools, and I'm sure the reps will appreciate having access to them. And with that, I'll say bye-bye, everyone. Have a great week.
Thanks, everyone.